All right, Rebels, welcome to the beginning of something different. This is Podcasters Business Insider, the daily show where creators stop playing small and start building like business owners. Here, we don't chase downloads for vanity. We build systems, strategies, and shows that actually pay the bills. If you ever felt stuck recording into the void, wondering if your podcast will ever grow into more than just a hobby, this is where the guesswork ends because you're not just a podcaster. You're a founder, a strategist, a builder. And together, we're going to turn your microphone into a media empire. So buckle up, Pod Rebels, because clarity beats chaos, strategy beats hustle, and momentum beats perfection. Today, we're going to be talking about why podcasts are cementing themselves as a primary source of news for Americans and what industry leadership changes like mo- Jeanine Wright's move mean for podcasters building for the future. So let's get into it. Sorry, I have to apologize in advance. I am coming down with something. I don't know what it is. That's why I started the live a little bit early. I want to get this done and dusted with. I was supposed to start Control Alt Delete, but we're running into some technical difficulties with the live stream for setting it up for YouTube. Hopefully, it'll be resolved by tomorrow. If you have any questions, drop the questions in the comments in the comment box, whether you're watching us on YouTube or LinkedIn, whether you're watching us live or on the replay. Comment below. Let us know where you're consuming this. We'd love to know and love to communicate with you all. And the main thing, what's your biggest podcast challenge right now? What are you guys struggling with? Is it downloads? You know how we feel about downloads here. Is it audience engagement? Is it, we don't know what it is. Just pop it into the comments below. My brain is not thinking right now because, like I said, it feels like I'm coming down with something. So bear with me. Today we're going to be talking about, like I said, how podcast is now actually becoming more news. And this is the new form of news consumption for not just Americans, but everybody around the world. And leadership shifts from Pew, and we're going to be digging into some Pew data. Pew. Let's get into the news. Got some big news happening today in the podcasting world. Like I said, I apologize. This is going to be a short segment. I am not feeling 100%. And I just want to get this done and dusted with. I know I was supposed to do 3 things today. I only did 2. This is number 2. And this is all I'm going to do. After that, I'm either going to pop onto that monitor and play Star Wars Galaxies, or most likely go chill out on that couch and watch Star Wars. Because my head feels like my brain's going to right down the side of my ear. Today, article number 1 comes to us from Pod News. Pod News highlights an interview with Jeanine Wright, who discusses her perspectives on leadership, industry trends, and the direction of major podcast companies. Why this matters. Leadership changes at the top of podcasting companies ripple across. Pardon me. I'm having weird stuff happening to me today because it's, like I said, forgive me. Bear with me today. Just bear with me. Leadership changes at the top of podcasting companies ripple across industry, influencing partnerships, strategies, and opportunities for creators. My takes on this. Leadership shifts often signal new priorities, from monetization strategies to creator support models. This is going to be interesting to see how things are going to be shifting for us indie podcasters. We should be paying attention right now to these executive moves. They can hint at where the industry trends are heading. This is your key for you to be able to kind of get your hints of where you should be shifting your attention to. I'm going to listen to this podcast episode because this is going to be quite interesting for me to listen to, because this is how we're going to get ahead of the curve, not just stay behind the eight ball. These are the big players, and if we can follow these big players, it will give us the opportunity for us to focus our attention of where we need to be. Article number 2. Like I said, we're moving fast today, guys. I apologize. I am not feeling 100%, so I'm just going to be busting through these as quickly as possible. Comes to us from Pod News Daily. Pew Research finds that 1/3 of Americans now regularly get news from podcasts, highlighting their growing role in the media landscape. Why this matters? Podcasts are no longer niche, ladies and gents. They're mainstream. They're mainstream news. It's mainstream news sources that now are competing with traditional media for trust and attention. This is massive. Podcasters are now becoming journalists by default, shaping how people consume and trust information. Indie shows such as this that lean into credibility and consistent reporting can carve out serious influence in the news ecosystem. If you're not in the news, if you're not doing news segments like we are doing here, and you're just doing interviews, I mean, it's fine. You can still do that. However, you're missing out on a huge, 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 huge market and a huge way of you to grow. Oh, yeah, I'm really struggling today. Like I said, it's going to be a short one. We're moving on. Podcasts as news and industry shifts. Podcasting is maturing. Audiences trust it for news and leadership. At the top is steering the industry. See, I can't even read properly. My head is like boom, 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 boom right now. Podcast is maturing. Audiences trust it for news, and leadership at the top is steering the industry's next phase. Podcasts are firmly in the news ecosystem. Creators should consider how they present credibility and trust. This has always been a factor when it comes to podcasting. You always want to always lead with credibility and trust. However, now it's even more important because all the leaders have seen that this has now become more than just niche. And it's, like we said before, it's twisting its way into more of the mainstream media way. You see all the big news anchors are now have their own podcasts. Industry leadership changes trickle down into opportunities and risks for creators. If you really, really, really want to, this started to happen with the Dan Bongino show. Maybe you liked him, maybe you hated him. But Dan Bongino show was the anchor of this whole shift. Again, we're not interested in whether you like the man or you don't like the man. We're looking at what happened and how did this start. It started with him. That means Dan Bongino started by thinking bigger. Okay. He didn't start by thinking small. He was thinking to utilize all the newsworthy events that were happening politically wise, that because that was his niche, that was his market, that was his ecosystem. And now the industry's evolution shows podcasts, they're not just hobby projects. They're central to media. This is critically important for you guys to understand, because you cannot you cannot look at your podcast as a hobby anymore. This is a business, something that we have been pushing from the very get-go. And you need to be treating it as a business, as a revenue creating business. Give you another example other than the Dan Bongino show. The Daily by NYT and Pod Save America. This show is how podcasts can drive news consumption and political discussion at scale. The exact same thing that Dan Bongino show did. So now you have three different examples of three different podcasts that drove news consumption and political discussion at a massive scale. Now, those are only three. There's quite a few of them. I'm not going to say hundreds, but there are quite a few of them. It's possibly a couple of hundreds. Now, what do I want you guys to I can't even talk properly. My head's pounding. What do I want you guys to do for for today, starting today? I want you to position your podcast with credibility, no matter what your niche is, no matter what you're trying to sell, no matter if it's a political one or a basket weaving podcast. I don't care. You are now the most credible podcast in that sphere. And I want you to pay attention to the leadership shifts that are happening in your niche. I don't want you to focus on what the small guys are doing. I want you to collaborate with the small guys, but I want you to focus what's happening at the very top of your niche. They're going to show you where the big players are headed. And if they're headed that way, you need to head that way. You may not be able to play at their level, granted. However, you can still utilize their strategies in creating your show and positioning your show as one of them with a much, let's face it, with a much less and a much smaller audience and reach. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because through that, you can and you will grow your audience and your reach and your credibility. Remember, we're going back to the credibility part. Pardon me. Now, I want you to also consider weaving timely news into your show to boost authority and relevance. relevance. This is also important because if there's like breaking news that happens in your industry, we've had some of that here with our lives. I just roll back a little bit. It's happened before. This has happened before. And okay, our audience is not the biggest. I haven't checked. I have been feeling like really garbage over the weekend, so I really haven't really looked at any numbers. But I did see that we did grow by really to sign in. I'll sign in later. Told you guys I'm not feeling 100% at all today, so forgive me for this. I normally I'm I'm more prepared than this normally, but it's just my head's not in the right place. Oh boy. Okay. There we go. Yeah, we're at 14 subscribers. We grew by 2 subscribers last week, which is fantastic. But I mean, there's some other guys that are working at massive numbers, thousands and thousands and thousands. We're not there yet. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it is what it is, and we just started, so can't really expect too much, right? Bonus is we are at 3,600 views in the short period of time that we have been alive, 2 months. But anyways, I'm digressing here. So what you want to be able to break news and give proper value for people, right? That's all we're doing. So podcasts are now part of the mainstream news diet, and industry leaders are shaping sorry. Industry leaders are shaping the next era. The podcasters who adapt will win. So always remember, you need to be able to have great amounts of adaptability in your podcast in order for you to win in this game. Honestly, you can't be going back and doing what was working in 2015 or 2025 or 2020, 2021. It doesn't work today. It doesn't work. There's few things that do still work, but the industry changes so quickly that it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. Some things do still work, however, like downloading your 15 steps to kickstart your business, your podcast business. This is your roadmap. This is your roadmap to smarter, faster growth. And top it off, sign up for the Rebel Intel newsletter, which next week we are kicking off a weekly newsletter. And this is where you're going to get your insider strategies. So sign up for the Rebel Intel newsletter right now. Tomorrow's Toolbox Tuesday. We are going to cover top news tools and workflows podcasters should use to grow their credibility. And yes, if I am shivering in a fever, dying on that couch, I am going to drag my carcass back onto this chair, and we are going to do that live. So help me, we will do that live. Anyhow, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Like I said, it's going to be a quick one. This whole week I have a feeling it's going to be quick. So I'm not feeling 100%. I can't think straight. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.